Well, I'm hoping that we'll be able to put together some of the, crystallise some of the ideas that we've seen from the videos and websites and everything that we've all been looking at, and perhaps come to some conclusion and give some feedback as to what we think the government ought to be doing to save energy and cut CO2 emissions.
Is there a specific sort of an idea that you really want to try and get answers to?
Well, I'd like to see them taking some action on preventing waste. Because I think we waste a huge amount of resources and fuel, and taking something positive and showing us, government showing us how they're saving money or how they're saving resources, rather than it just disappearing like the extra taxes they're taking just seem to go away and we see nothing of them. So I'd like to hear how they're going to make it clearer.
A bit of a debate on the cause and effects of climate change. At the moment I'm not totally convinced that it's totally man-made. I'm hoping to hear the arguments, discuss the issues, and hopefully reach a more considered view on the effects of human activity on climate change. That's hopefully what I'm hoping to get out of it today. Whether I will or not, I don't know.
And have you enjoyed the process? Because you've had several meetings, haven't you, so far?
Yeah. It's part of a debate which I'm hoping will be continued today. But I think I've looked at the videos. Obviously, spoken to friends and colleagues about the whole issue, the impact of mankind on the planet's resources. Clearly, something has to be done. I'm hoping for a steer from government as related to their climate bill. But maybe I think there'd have to be some sticks and carrots. Because I think most people have done the easy things like loft insulation and sort of cavity wall insulation and sort of trying to go green. But I think more needs to be done. So who knows?
Impressed. I think I've been particularly impressed with the speakers on stage because it's been apolitical. They've kept politics out of it. And I'm hearing the CBI and TUC and government working together. And there's a lot going on that I wasn't aware of. And I think if there's a criticism, it is that a lot of things are happening and I'm not aware of those. I mean, I was devastated, almost, but very pleased, when Miliband was explaining that we're going to get some sort of consumer check gadget to come into the house where we'll be able to see what we're using in terms of energy in the house. I think that's brilliant. And then added that it was free, even better, even though I know as a taxpayer ultimately I'll pay for it. But what a way to get people to move and really start thinking about the energy they're using in their house. I had no idea this was in the pipeline at all, and therefore shocked in the sense that, why didn't I know about this?
And do you get the sense that certain sectors like business or government should be doing more, or do you think that it's actually people trying to face up to it now?
I think what I take away from it is that, yes, we all could be doing more, but I hesitate to label government or industry at fault. I think we've all got our part to play. What was particularly interesting today is that I get the feeling that TUC, industry, etc., are actually prepared to work together to a degree. Now, they've all got their political agenda behind that, of course, but I got the impression today they were prepared to drop some of that and actually look at the real issue. As I must, as a citizen, start to think about, come on, what am I actually doing about this? I have a part to play, and I think it's awoken me to that idea that we've all got to work together. Now, coming through was this idea of contract that they were talking about between the groups. I'm a little bit at this stage in the meeting confused by that contract. What does contract mean? If it means that there's guidelines on what we could do, I understand that. But contract has, to me, about there's penalties if you don't do it. Now, I'm not exactly against that, but at the moment I don't quite know what that contract means. Are there going to be penalties attached or not? Because my gut feeling is that the ideal is I'd love to see people doing it because they believe it's the right thing to do. But I think I'm old enough and wise enough to know that sometimes you need to put an edge on that. And I'd like to know what that edge might be, because otherwise I tend to think people will drift on. Oh yes, it's a lovely idea, but I must think about it some time. I think there needs to be an edge to say, encourage us to think about it.
I think it's been very positive, quite enthusiastic about everything. The speakers have been fairly inspirational, actually. I've never ever been a skeptic, and I'm actually fairly keen to actually see things like this happen. But I think I've got a concern about how the message will actually get across to the general public, how you actually convince. It's fine if everyone in the country could sit here and actually hear what's been said and go through all the information which we've had and see the DVDs and things like that. That'd be fantastic, but they're not going to actually get that privilege. And I think a lot of people get switched off by the whole climate change issue. And how you actually engage with the public en masse and actually get across that this isn't really a political issue, it's something far greater. I think that's quite a challenge. But as a start, this is really good, and I'm quite pleased to be part of it, really.
I think today a lot of interesting arguments came out today, and I think for myself it's nice that there is a climate change bill, so that proves to me that government is doing something. But I think as well, because 50% of the emissions is coming from industry, and I think businesses need to get involved more. And I think as well, because there are targets set in place, I think this needs to be measured so that we know year on year there is some changes being taking place. So even though we've had a discussion today, it would be nice to have the feedback as well if these changes are actually taking place. Because I think as well from the public we are engaged and we are doing something to make a change, but it may be a small percentage.
Absolutely wonderful. And what do you think about the event in itself? Just the whole idea of bringing a group of people together from all over the place.
I think with the event it's definitely a good idea because it's looking at the pyramid effect. So therefore you've got the information from government, from various peoples or powers to be, and at least it's getting through to the public as well. So it's like, for example, I will tell my family member, I will tell my friends, I will tell those who I work with. So that's the good thing of actually having conferences like this, and people from all over the countries as well to share ideas and views, and also we can gather information, because I think as well some of the information is not easy to cipher through, but having a discussion like this with somebody that's sort of explaining it to you more and giving you sort of the visual CDs to actually look at, that's better for us as well.
It's been a really interesting day. It's been quite good hearing perspectives from different people, both environmental, like people like the professor from Surrey University, and obviously government representation and the CBI, and just seeing what everyone's got to do and what people are going to do. And to see that whilst there is a conflict between what the government wants to achieve and what the CBI and industry is willing to give, but there's also a compromise that they realise it needs to be done and are going to be done. And just discussing with other people what their views are and what they do, so you can understand what things you can do, because a lot of people, I think, especially what I did as well, you think that what you're doing is quite substantial and you sometimes realise that there's more that you can do, and some things that you do you think are insignificant and maybe more significant than they are.
Yeah. Like what exactly? I was just going to say to you on a personal level, how has it affected you? Yeah, have you changed the things that you
today
did?
Or the whole process?
The whole process, I suppose.
I think I'd like to think I was already was conscious of environment, like trying to act responsibly, but I've definitely become more aware. So whereas before I tried not to use the car for short journeys, now I'll really think about it and will definitely not use it. Whereas, and recycling and reusing food, there's a lot of things that I'll think twice about now, whereas before, if I didn't use the car, I think, well, that's good for the environment. Now I'll actually consciously not use it, so stop myself taking a certain action. So it's just like raising awareness, really.
And you found you're passing that on to other people around you as well?
I'm trying, yeah.
Becoming an evangelist.
A little bit. I'll try not to preach too much, but I think that people have to, in a way, come to it of their own free will. Otherwise, they're not going to take it on. If people do it under a feeling that they have to, then they're not going to stick with it. As soon as the first opportunity comes to sort of relapse, then they will. Whereas if people sort of reach that decision themselves, then they're more likely to stick with it.
Perfect.